and welcome to another edition of Currently in Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano. On today's program, Kit Burke, director of the Quincy Animal Shelter, will join us for an update. First, though, we take a look at the weather and the news for you. Currently in Quincy, partly cloudy out there. It's 64 degrees. Right now, the feel of fall in the air for sure. Clouds and sun today with highs in the mid-70s. Another chilly night tonight. Temperatures drop off into the lower 50s. Kind of a repeat tomorrow, maybe a little more sun than today with highs tomorrow. Again in the low to mid-70s. The feel of summer returns just for a day here on Sunday. It'll be rather warm and muggy with chance for afternoon thunderstorms. Highs Sunday in the upper 80s. We cool right back down on Monday, though. Still a pretty good chance of some afternoon and evening storms around on Monday, but cooler and less humid with highs Monday in the mid-70s. Looks a little unsettled into next week as well. Right now, though, 64 and partly cloudy here in Quincy. Checking news for you today, 20 Quincy firefighters will be receiving some specialized rescue training with help from a federal emergency management agency grant. The city will receive over $272,000 in grant funds for the training. That'll be matched with over $27,000 in city funds that's required by FEMA, brings the total to $300,000. Quincy Fire Chief Joe Jackson said the grant will provide training on high-rise, trench, and other specialized rescue procedures.
And what this would do is this would bring in a private company to teach us technical rescue skills. We'd be looking to train 20 firefighters and do 14 days of training. And so the backfill and the overtime is part of this grant, as is bringing in the private company to teach us these skills.
City Council supported the city allocation unanimously. Jackson said that his grant writers have brought in over $5 million in grant funding over the past several years. There's a new food pantry open for Quincy College students. Stop and Shop has donated $10,000 for the Quincy College cupboard at the Quincy Center campus of the college. During a ribbon-cutting ceremony last week, Quincy College President Rick DeCristofaro said the new food pantry is just another way the college is supporting its students.
And, we are so fortunate to have such a wonderful partner in Stop and Shop. They do so much for the city of Quincy, and now establishing a really great partnership with Quincy College. And initiatives like this, really show our students how much we feel about them, how much we think about them, but even more importantly, all of our hopes for each and every one of our students. So all I can do is just say thank you to our team, and thank you to the Stop and Shop team for everything you have done to make this just so great for our students. So we're very, very grateful.
Quincy College Cupboard will provide students with food staples, snacks, and personal care items. College staff and work-study students will operate the pantry in the student lounge, and it will be restocked with help from Stop and Shop. The grant is for 1 year. The college may reapply for a new grant. Stop and Shop helped start similar food pantries at Bunker Hill Community College in Boston, Massasoit Community College in Brockton, and over 100 other schools throughout the Northeast. A former office building in Quincy Center has been transformed into affordable housing. Local developer Leo Martin converted 1433 Hancock Street into 22 apartments that will rent for $1,400 per month, far below the going rate of over $2,200 per month. The building was dedicated to former Quincy City Councilor Joe Finn in honor of his advocacy for affordable housing as former director of Father Bill's Homeless Shelter and the current director of the Mass Housing and Shelter Alliance. Finn said the Affordable Housing Trust was envisioned as a tool to provide workforce housing.
I think all of the counselors that I served with back at the time deserve such credit when we actually created the home rule petition that would create the Affordable Housing Trust, which at the time had kind of come as a little bit of a surprise to us, but everybody was engaged in that discussion. Again, there's a whole groups of people, and that really were such a very important part of it. Some of whom are here, some of whom are not. But Nancy Callanan and Dennis Harrington in the early days did so much to get it off the ground. And you also had the people who served on it, whether it was Reverend Sheldon Bennett or Pastor Wismar, and of course. Have you ever seen a nun mug people for resources? Sister Joanne Westheimer was absolutely incredible. And of course, my colleague, who played such an important part in the early days of the trust, Councilor Michael McFarland. And so it's something we can all be proud of.
So the city's provided $2 million toward that project from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. 20 of the 22 units are already rented. Martin's also developing affordable housing for veterans on Temple Street in Quincy Center. The new Yawkey Housing Resource Center that's being built to replace Father Bill's homeless shelter in Quincy is really taking shape. Construction is underway on the new center right across from the current shelter on Broad Street. The project is on track to be completed sometime late next year. When done, the new center will provide an innovative day center, an emergency shelter, plus 30 permanent supportive housing units. Father Bill's in Mainspring is in the process of building a similar center in Brockton. They say the ultimate goal is to end homelessness in our region. Distracted driving being blamed for a head-on crash on West Squantum Street in North Quincy back on Wednesday morning. A 29-year-old Quincy woman says that she was putting on mascara when the Jeep she was driving crossed onto the wrong side of the road near 322 West Squantum Street about 10 o'clock Wednesday morning and struck a tractor-trailer truck head-on. The woman was taken to South Shore Hospital with head and facial injuries and will be cited for reckless endangerment and driving an unregistered vehicle. The truck driver was not hurt. West Squantum Street was closed for a while that accident scene was cleared. That is our check of news. Coming up, we sit down with Kit Burke from the Quincy Animal Shelter for an update on their new temporary home. That's next. Welcome back. We're really happy to welcome back to the program from the Quincy Animal Shelter. Director Kit Burke is here to bring us up to date on a lot that has been happening at the animal shelter, including a brand new home. Hey, Kit, how are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure as always. Great to have you here. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk about the animal shelter now in its 22nd year, right?
Yes.
And in a brand new home just recently.
Yes,
Yeah.
We were relocated by the city from the Broad Street location about 5 weeks ago. It's been planned for close to a year, so it was not a surprise. There was a structure that the city owned that is loosely behind the Kennedy Center on East Squantum Street that was not being utilized for anything, and they went in and it created a beautiful space. Really. It's I know they have plans for it after we go to Quarry Street, but some of the benefits compared to where we've been, cats and dogs are no longer on top of each other. They have their own separate space. We have a lot of windows, so there's daylight. And I was mentioning to you, I mean, I think the city did a great job of repurposing doors and, things like that they were doing a project someplace else in the city. They didn't need those doors anymore, and they were able to make it work. So I think it really showed, they gave a lot of thought to how can we do this, do it right, but, not just spend.
Yeah,
So,
that's great.
I really think they did a great job.
Nice to hear. For folks to kind of visualize, exactly where you are now, can you kind of give us some geographical landmarks? Yeah.
The address technically is 440 R, the letter R, East Squantum Street. For people that don't know that area well, if you were going to go to Marina Bay, so that's the first thing you turn down.
That's a great
East
landmark,
Glen,
sure.
right?
Yep.
And just a couple of doors down on the left is the city's health department and the Kennedy Center Senior Center. There is a road there that will take you along the side of the Kennedy Center, and then, you know, bring you back. For those people that are familiar with the Ayers family collision and whatnot, they're back there. They are 440B. They are going to be putting signs up so that people can see, but if you just go along that road, and when you're really pretty much facing Ayers, there's an opening and we're in on the left. So it's a one-story building, ample parking,
Great.
unlike where we came from.
Right, yeah.
And we'd love, you know, people to stop in. We will be doing an open house probably later October, maybe early November.
Okay.
You know, we're still unpacked.
Still moving in, yeah.
Yes.
Sure. Okay,
Yes.
good to know. So is it bigger than the old location?
Yes.
Okay.
The Broad Street location was, I'm told, about 2,600 square feet.
Okay.
This, I believe, is about 4,200.
Wow, okay, super.
And it allowed us to have some things that are better for the animals because of a little bit extra space. And it's not fancy, but it's nice and it's new. And you know, there's air exchange. There was no air exchange in the other building, you know. And as I mentioned to you, the state mandates now just some pretty strong regulations for animal shelters. And, you know, the city did a great job of making sure that we were being compliant, because the state had to say, yes, you can move in.
I see. Oh,
So,
they did, okay.
yep,
Okay,
yep.
so they had to have
So we got
approval.
the thumbs up on that, so that was good.
Yeah, that's super. It's probably nicer for the volunteers, too, to have a, you know, more pleasant space.
It is that. I
Yeah.
mean, it's silly things. You know, we had an opportunity before we reopened to invite volunteers in so we could tour them through, and because it's so different than where we were.
Yeah.
And you know, the old adage of it's the little things. In the cat area now, there is like a utility sink that they can use to clean litter boxes.
Okay.
And one of our longtime good volunteers, I was taking her through, and so I was saying, and this is where you'll clean a litter box. And I looked up, and she was a little teary-eyed almost, and I thought, she says, I can't believe there's going to be hot water here.
Hot water.
Because
Something we take for
on
granted.
Broad Street, we had a utility sink
Yeah.
that was cold water only, so
Oh.
they would go to the other sink, you just never know what's
Right.
going to make someone's day, but for her it was hot water
Okay.
to clean litter boxes.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
Are you able to have more animals at the new location?
Dogs, not really.
Okay.
For financial reasons, we moved the kennels from Broad Street. Because when Quarry Street does happen, that will be, you know, all new and
Of
whatnot.
course, yeah.
On the cat side, we have space to do more.
Okay.
Right now, we don't own the cages to do more. But
see,
We'll,
okay.
you know, we'll see.
Okay. But
Sometimes.
just keeping them separate is huge, right?
That is
Because
huge
it's
for the
so
animals.
stressful on the animals. yeah.
Huge. I'm really hopeful that we'll see the incidence of cats in particular getting upper respiratory and whatnot will further drop.
Okay.
Because it's not that stressful environment. So they
Good.
have. All in all, we're moving on up. I think.
So this is just temporary. Do you know about how long you'll be here?
The best guess is probably 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
It really has everything to do with when the bid is accepted for the new shelter.
Yes.
The goal, I understand that it either is just out to bid or it's going out to bid, and the hope was that because the council approved the funding for it, that they could kind of get the shovel in the ground by this fall. There was something I don't know about a retaining wall or whatever that they were hopeful to pour before the ground froze.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, you know how the best laid plans go, but at least there's a plan,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
and
Okay, but it sounds like in the interim, this is going to be a very nice, comfortable space to be.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. And, you know, a few workarounds, but, you know, by and large, I think people will be really happy when they see what we're doing down there now.
The hours the same, Kit, at the new location?
Right now, we are still 10 to 2 on Saturdays.
Yep.
We're hoping once we get really settled in there that we can add to those hours. We used to be open a few hours a couple of weeknights, and then with the pandemic, you know, that just, you weren't looking to have more people in a small space.
Right,
so, you know,
obviously, yeah, okay.
but that's the goal. The goal is to be more available to the public.
Sure, okay. Now, is there exterior space to walk the dogs at the new location?
It's tricky.
Yeah.
You can do a full walk around of the building. I have had some people refer to it as Coyote Heaven because
Oh, no kidding. Oh.
I haven't seen any yet.
Okay.
But you know, it's very, you know, there's the osprey protected area
Yes,
down
yeah.
there. That birds are lovely. So if they get out to East Squantum, then certainly between Quincy Shore Drive and East Squantum Street, there's ample places to walk in the little parks by the water and
Yep,
whatnot.
yep.
You know, weather permitting, and I think that we don't have them yet, but we will have like a fenced run area, much like we
Yep.
had at the other building.
Okay.
Because the dogs, it doesn't matter how much you walk them, they need to burn off some energy
Oh, yeah.
and get off leash. So, you know, but that's coming.
That's coming.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that during the move, you'd ask folks to kind of hold off on bringing supplies and donations and things like that. So is that back on now?
we really are not soliciting a lot right
Okay.
now of donations, again, because we're just not settled
You're
in
not settled,
enough.
yep, okay, yep.
Some folks have come by with things, and you know, we're happy to take what they bring, but we're not at the point of saying, you know, please resume. And for people that are wondering what they can do to help us get
Yep.
more established, you know, if they're so inclined, certainly a Home Depot gift card
Oh,
or
okay.
Amazon, something like that. There's just, you know, different things that we need to purchase, you know, to kind of finish things up, and so that stuff would help too.
Okay, good to know. All right. You had laundry at the old location. Do you have laundry at the new place?
We do. We actually moved our washer and dryer.
Okay.
Animal Control bought that some years back. They were given a generous donation by the Copeland Family Trust, and that's what they spent it on, was
see.
commercial washer and dryer. So, yes, we have a nice little alcove with that, and we have, for anyone that was at our location before, you know, we all shared for food prep or for humans the same microwave and all of that stuff. Well, there's a separate food prep area now that we can focus on. for
A
the
people
animals.
kitchen.
Yeah, well, yes.
Okay.
Yes. And, you know, that'll be nice when we have an open house or,
Right.
you know, meetings, volunteers, if they're going to overlap a lunch hour or whatever. It'd
Sure.
be nice to be able to have a place to sit down and take a break. But it's pretty fancy compared to what we've had.
You're smiling, so.
I am.
yeah.
Well, you know, it's so exciting for the volunteers.
Yeah.
You know, we did a lot with the city's blessing, with the space that we had at Broad Street. But I mean, it was dark. It was. We used it for something that it was never intended to be used for.
That's right, yeah.
And
It was just a dog pound, right?
that's right.
Yeah, initially.
You know, and so, I mean, I think that we did well with what we have, but it wouldn't take much, and it didn't take much to make big improvements.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, there's, you know, there's special flooring in there now, and a lot of windows, which is great for the animals, you know, to have daylight
Oh, yes.
access.
Yes,
and,
absolutely.
it's uplifting.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
I know a lot of attention was paid to sound, right? Sound transfer within the building.
Yes,
Yeah.
you know, it was bad at the other place
Right.
because there was no division.
It's a big echo chamber. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I think I had mentioned that the city, there was a school that didn't need what they had anymore or whatever. And I mean, they're just very generic looking. Some people might actually think that it's intended artistically, but it looks like a canvas covered
Panel.
something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just soundproofing material,
But it is
helps a
for-
lot. Yeah.
You know, and so they put that in.
Nice.
So, I mean, everything like that helps.
That's great.
So.
What's the current population at the shelter?
Well, right now we have in the building, we only have one dog.
Oh, okay.
We had to put all of our animals in foster homes while we moved.
Sure.
Because you couldn't move them in the cages. So, and on the dog side, some of them stayed in the foster homes and were adopted. And then we've subsequently had some that have come in and gone out already. On the cat side, this was actually kind of interesting. We had some folks that stepped up to foster the cats for us through the move and whatnot. And I think, like, I don't know, 4 out of 5 ended up adopting.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
We call those people foster failures.
Foster failures.
Yes.
Yep. Exactly.
And the adoption team, I mean, these folks are all volunteers.
I know.
And they just
Yeah.
do such a great job. So they've already been sending animals home from the new locations.
Okay. So it's already functioning as it's supposed
Yes.
to. Yeah.
Yep.
That's super.
So it's only going to get better, I think. So.
Yeah. Volunteer-wise, do you have opportunities for folks, or are you pretty well
Yes,
set?
I don't know exactly where the greatest need is in terms of shifts. If you go to our website,
Okay.
which is quincyanimalshelter.org, there would be a drop down for a volunteer, and you know, there should be some information there.
Okay.
Or people can email volunteer@quincyanimalshelter.org and, you know, ask the questions that way. We have more space,
Right,
so there's
yeah.
more, you know, to be done. And I mean, we're even, there's a lot more to keep clean.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like
we've-
moving into a bigger house. There's more
Yep,
rooms to
yep.
clean. Yeah.
So if people have questions or interest, please do reach out, or, you know, stop by and see
Okay.
if we can't put you to work.
Okay. Who can be a volunteer, kid?
You have to be 18.
18, okay,
And that is for insurance liability.
Gotcha. Okay.
And you know, we try to be accommodating to everyone, but in reality, you know, there are some physical constraints
Yes.
to the job. So, but we have all kinds of folks. So, you know,
Young and old alike, I'm sure. Yeah.
absolutely. We have some wonderful retired folks that have been around for years and years, and tend to have more of the retired folks on the day shift, the young working crew at night,
Sure,
which
makes
is
sense.
logical.
Yep.
But I mean, everyone's there for the same reason, you know. People that would have never crossed paths had they not come together for that.
They have the commonality of a love
Yes.
for animals. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to see if now that you're next to the Kennedy Center, if folks start to wander over, you know.
Well, right next to it there is the moorings.
Yes.
That apart.
Yes.
And we've had a few people, even before we were open to the public, you know, the woman walking her dog through, but very pleasant
Sure,
and
yeah.
just curious and
A nice new
whatnot.
neighbor, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's good.
Super. Any events coming up that we should know about?
Well, probably the big news for us is that finally, since 2019, we haven't been able to have our craft fair.
Yes.
And we're bringing it back this year.
Okay.
It will be the Saturday before Thanksgiving, which I think is the 19th of November. It'll be at the Kennedy Center again, so they'll be right down there by the shelter.
Yes, yes.
And the hours are usually like 10 to 3, so there'll be more information to follow, but you know, we always have raffles and probably 25 to 30 crafters. We have our apparel that we sell and whatnot. People generally, it's just a good time,
Yeah.
you know. a lot of people like that, craft fairs and stuff.
Yes,
So.
yeah, especially right before the holidays.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
okay.
we're looking forward to that. And then I had mentioned, I don't have a date yet, but
Okay.
we will do an open house for our new location so that people can come in and see what's
Check it
going
out.
on.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
yes.
Always good to see you, Kit. Really appreciate it.
Likewise, it's always a pleasure to be here.
Our pleasure. And you're going to send us some pictures so we can show our viewers of the new spot.
I will remember to do that
Okay.
so that you could maybe see. It's not really before and after,
Right, right.
but what was and what is,
That's
maybe something like that would be okay.
All right. You're moving on up.
All right. Thank
Thanks
you.
again. You're welcome. And thank you for watching. We'll check the forecast for you for the rest of the day. Today, kind of what you see is what you get out there. Mix of sun and clouds. Fallish feel with the temperatures in the mid-70s, low 50s this evening. Ditto tomorrow. A little more sun than clouds tomorrow. Summertime returns just for a day on Sunday. We've got a heat and humidity, maybe a storm. High near 90, but right back down to the mid-70s. Kind of rainy and stormy on Monday. A little unsettled into next week as well. Thanks again to Kit Burke for joining us from the Quincy
Thanks for
Animal
having us.
Shelter.
Thank you.
Thanks to our crew. Thank you for watching. Monday here in the show, it's Paul Gorman, president of now the Hale Family YMCA. Don't forget our website anytime. It's qatv.org. Our latest programs, news and information, video on demand, live streaming there, and a whole lot more. For all of us at QATV, I'm Joe Catalano. Have a great weekend.